Okay, Roland, thank you so much. We're so honored to be part of the Roland Martin Unfiltered Network. Let's get into it. It's Truth Talks. Let's go.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Welcome to Truth Talks. We're here on our new home with Roland Martin because we needed a bigger, blacker platform, but it's still the same opinionated, unapologetic, keeping it real, highly black truth-telling on Truth Talks. We are old like me and young like them. We are left and right. We're a little bit of everyone, so I hope you all will see a little of yourselves in the show. And if you don't, get in the comments and yell at us and tell us what we're doing wrong. Please give a warm welcome to the returning superstar, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. How are you?
What's going on, True Talks family? Y'all, it's your favorite doc. I can't wait to get into these topics tonight. I have a strong, unapologetic opinion, Torey, and I don't give a damn if you disagree with me. I'm going to keep it rocking.
I know that's true. Please give a warm welcome to our new co-host, Dr. Sarah Fontenot.
What's up? Super excited to be here. And just like Dr. B, it's coming with accountability, and we going to fight for our truth. So let's go, Truth Talks.
And the smartest young brother I know, Dimitri Wiley. What's
Such a compliment.
You know me, I'm Torey. I've been in the game since Dimitri was a baby, but we're not going to hold that against him. Let's get into it. Story number one. The trial of the century continues. We are in week 3. Diddy is fighting for his life against racketeering charges, sex trafficking charges. This is a wild case. I don't want to get into the minutia of it because that is everywhere. But this conversation is huge in our community. I think we are deeply divided in a way we haven't seen in a long time. Like when it was Bill Cosby, I think a lot of us were like, it's clear he's guilty. But on this one, I get into arguments in the street and online constantly. Women are divided on what Cassie should or shouldn't have done. True. Men are not sure what's going on. Dr. B, what do you think about what's going on with this trial and why we are so divided as a community about it?
Yeah, Torey, I think that there's division because there's 2 different divisions. I think there's some folks who think that, hey, Cassie wanted this. She was in it for the money. She was in it to see, hey, what can I get? Can I get an album, a record deal, a TV show? This is the industry. I'm a young girl. I want to pretty much pay to play. And then there's a second group of people who are like, listen, no, this woman really fell in love. She was taken advantage of. She's the victim. She's experiencing Stockholm syndrome. And so she has, which Stockholm syndrome, just for everybody at home who doesn't know, Stockholm syndrome is that, when a victim falls in love with their abuser, and they tend to use it as a defense mechanism to say, hey, this person loves me. This is normal. It's okay. And they use it as a way to be able to still survive in that situation. But I want to say this, Torey, and I'll wrap up. I believe that it can be a mix of both. I think 2 things can be true at once. I think that she could have went into it and said, hey, look, I do want a record deal. I do want to become a big star. I want to be famous, and then begin sleeping with this man, fell in love with this man. Before you knew it, she was in over her head, and now she's getting her ass whipped, and now she's, getting abused. And at that point, how do I pull out? So I think 2 can exist. I don't think the community has to be so divided on that.
I don't think she really saw any way to get out. She told one of his personal assistants, I can't get out. And she has this 10-album deal. So she's trapped in this paper prison. He controls her money. He controls her housing. And yet we still have questions about why she didn't leave. Sarah, why are we still asking questions about why she didn't leave?
I am definitely one of those people that feel like she absolutely should have left, because for me, before I moved to America, the first time I was engaged, I was almost paralyzed by my first ex-fiance. A lot to get into. That's not the point today. Today, the point is that I left. And at the time, we were that couple in the city. We were the dream team in the city. And so for me to walk away from that, knowing that people were going to talk, being afraid of failure, being afraid that people are going to say, oh, you're never going to get married, all those doubts and fears that come into our minds, or even abuse that comes into the package. Sometimes we think that that's what we deserve. I honestly feel like most Black women are separated on this topic because so many Black women have dealt with the same amount for much less. Because the truth of it is, when she walked into this relationship, she was enamored with, she may have loved him, but she was enamored with his success, with his status, with his money, with his network, with his opportunities. And she stuck in long enough where he was able to take that full control. She didn't want to walk away until she did. And by that time, it got a little bit crazy. It got a little bit real. It's no doubt that Diddy is a predator. However, I really think she had a choice to leave way before it got crazy.
At some point on this journey of this show, I do want to hear more about your story. I want to stay focused on Diddy right now, but like your deep, real, personal story that a lot of women have been through can be valuable for others. So I do want to hear that, even though right now we're going to stay on the idea of Diddy.
Yeah.
But just this one.
I want to rebuttal really quick, Torey, when you get a chance.
Okay, but one question, Sarah, you left a difficult situation, but in that experience, do you not see how difficult it is to leave when you are that you were successful in doing that, but it's hard. And can you not see how some other women would have a harder time at it than you had?
Of course it's hard, but anything great is hard. And I feel like it's such a cop-out. To be honest, I'm just going to keep it real. I know people, like, there are real traumas that happen. There are real psychological traumas that are so deeply embedded inside of who we are that sometimes we move and operate from that space. But the truth is, we're choosing to believe that that's true. There are helplines that you can go to. There are websites, or there are places that you can go to. There are ways to actually get help if you're not the person that comes from a family that's going to support you, from a group of friends that's going to support you. There are ways to get out of it, but the truth is, you have to get out of your own way and tell yourself that you are worth it enough, love yourself enough, you're worthy enough to get out of that space.
Dr. B.
You know, Sarah, first of all, sorry that happened to you. That is horrible. Seriously, sorry. And kudos to you for getting the hell up out of there, right? However, I have to say that leaving is deeper psychologically than just calling a resource line, just calling a hotline. Some women don't have a place to go. For some women, pain, trauma, abuse, being preyed on has been all they know when it comes to love, when it comes to a man, and that has become their norm. And so to say that a woman who can't leave is a cop-out, I feel is some bullshit. And I think it's very insensitive to say that about other women. You were able to get out, proud of you, but there's a lot of women who have nowhere to go. Cassie was living with her mother. Cassie, her kids, and her husband are still residing with her mother, which means she had no resources. Torey just said that Diddy had full control over her money, full control over everything she was doing. This man was leaving knives at this woman's door, blowing up people's cars. And so for her, it may have been, look, if I leave, I will lose my life. Maybe me staying is getting my ass beat, but at least if I stay, I have a chance at living to at some point plan an exit strategy. So kudos to you, sis. Really love you for leaving, but not every woman has that opportunity to be able to exit an abusive relationship like that. For some women, it does mean their life and they don't have the resources.
No, that last point is so important, that when you are trying to leave a domestic violence situation, you are at your most vulnerable. That is the stage of the relationship where women are most often hurt or killed, when the abuser sees the person he's been abusing trying to leave him and he's losing his moment of power. He will most likely, so she suffers knowing like that could be the, Dimitri, you haven't gotten in yet. What are you thinking about all this?
Let me in. You know, I think the idea of it, this topic alone, speaking on the divide, is very touching to me, because I've experienced domestic abuse through family members. I've seen it. I've witnessed it firsthand. As a kid, it was it's reality for a lot of people. But to take it back to its initial point, I think the divide is happening because we are divided. We cannot sit and understand the trauma that other people go through. What a lot of people don't understand, trauma, there's comfort in it after you've dealt with it for so long. You bond to this trauma and you get connected to it. And again, it builds things like love, and it builds things like admiration in moments. It builds things like, but that's here nor there. The thing about it for me is I think we forget how strategic of a man Diddy is. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, everything in court is somewhat true, and the rumors are somewhat true. It does not negate the fact of what she had to deal with to move on. I'm sorry to be long with it, but imagine a Monopoly board. You ever play Monopoly? And imagine the person you're playing against owns every single house on the board. Every time you roll the dice, you got to pay rent. So the thing about it is, if Diddy owned it all, There was nowhere for her to go. And I think we have to admit or accept the fact that it's not an easy thing to do.
Okay, Sarah, last word.
Yeah, I can agree with what you guys are saying. There's no doubt that there is a psychological trauma bond that happens especially for victims. However, it just doesn't start there. And for us to act like you get into a relationship and just get punched in the face day one, it's just not realistic. I mean, really and truly, there are flags that lead up to these things. It starts with the voice raising. It starts with the grabs. Maybe you hit the walls. There are so many different things that hit around you before you actually get hit. And so now I feel like it's come to a boiling point where she's tired of what she didn't get. But at the end of the day, she saw the signs of what she was walking into.
All right, next segment. Harvey Weinstein interviewing with Candace Owens from prison as he's trying to get a retrial on one of his charges. He said to Candace, "Women should be heard, but I'm wrongfully convicted." Okay. Why is Harvey Weinstein talking to Candace? And also, why is Candace talking to Harvey Weinstein? Dr. B, what do you think?
So this is the thing, right? From some of my relationships and some things I've heard is that the interview is intended to help Weinstein in his upcoming court proceedings. He's going to fight these charges. And so having this interview with Candace, because Candace believes allegedly that he's an innocent man, that they are going to be using this as helping him fight this case. Do I think it's a good idea from his attorney? I don't know. But I mean, at the same time, you're talking about a man who's in jail for how many years? Anything at this point, he should be trying to work to help his ass get off of these cases. I don't think it's going to help. I mean, abuse is abuse. What he's done is what he's done. And so whatever, I just was told that, hey, look, the interview with Candace is because she's getting the biggest engagement. She has everyone's ear. And this is supposed to help him really fight and beat this case and dissipate some of this time that he's doing.
Dimitri, you can't fight your trial from outside of the courthouse. You got to do it in the court of law. You can't do interviews and help that's not how you get out of jail. But I'm also a little confused because Candace Owens's project is anti-blackness. This has nothing to do with that. What are we doing here?
The thing about fighting outside the courtroom, I just think it tells you the gravity of how much social media and public perception plays into trials and plays into the courtroom. That's one idea behind it. But the whole anti-blackness, I absolutely agree with you. Out of all the people you could interview, this is who you choose. This is who you choose. But I think that's the idea of trying to be grabbing and different and anti-black. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Sarah, go.
Okay, I don't know if I know I'm going to be the villain on the show. Okay,
oh boy, here we go.
Here we go. Always looking for what is true, and the truth is, two things can be true at once. When I actually saw pieces of this interview that she was interviewing after the Weinstein interview, she was talking about facts, and she was saying how there were women inside of this case. Where were the women that were actually molested or touched or not molested, sexually assaulted? Where were they inside of the courtroom? They weren't there. And then they asked, because I guess Harvey Weinstein allegedly has a physical thing that happened to him. And because he had this physical thing, there's something very specific about his man parts. And when they asked the women, what are the man parts? What's different about it? The women that allegedly were sexually assaulted by him could not answer the question. And you can't miss it because he had gangrene in the 90s and so had some things cut off. So I say that to say that, whether he is a douchebag, a terrible person, a predator, a manipulator, there's no doubt about that. But is he a criminal? Was it sexual assault? I don't know. There's still more to hear. I'm not saying I'm a Candace Owens fan, but I am saying I believe in finding out the truth.
I mean, Sarah, one thing, there's so many people who have laid out. So, I mean, are we really saying we're talking, 50 women, something like that? Something absurd. Are we saying they're all lying?
I don't think everyone is lying. I just think there are some people that might be lying, and there are some people that might be, playing victim to a situation that they may not have been in. Now that being said,
perhaps, but even if we have,
I just have to say this because I know that man is a predator, and I know that he was, while he was married, he was sleeping with everything. Like anybody in the industry knows that. However, did it happen to all of those women? I don't know.
Doc.
But this is the thing. If he's a predator, okay, that's already saying he's a criminal. If there's some woman saying that he did and it is right that he did to them, and some women are lying about it, it doesn't matter. All it takes is one woman for a man to violate, for a man to abuse, and it makes you an abuser. It doesn't matter how many. This is the thing. We got to stop needing abuse to fit a certain ideology, to fit a certain look, to fit a certain number. Abuse is effing abuse. And I'm so tired of people needing it to look the way their abuse looks, to look the way they need it to look, or to look the way TV or social media shows us. If a woman says no, it's fucking no. And if she goes to court and it's proven that you raped her, you touched her, you violated her, guess what? You are a criminal. And women need to stop not sticking up for women and leaning on the side of men just because maybe some women lied and maybe some didn't. But if that one maybe is a yes and it's true, then that guy is a criminal, period.
That is
There's
a
no
fantastic
argument to
point.
it.
And it leads into our next segment about Tory Lanez, who is another person who's in prison. And a lot of people are talking about why he shouldn't be there. We have a little audio from Tory because there's a lot of noise. People try to say maybe he should get out. We got a Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, who's fighting for him, saying, hey, there's evidence. There's a new witness who say he heard somebody else say that she actually was the shooter. We're a lot of court of public opinion testifying, nothing happening in the courtroom yet. Let's listen to Tory, though.
He manipulated my DNA results and lied to the world, the media, and most importantly, my jury by stating my DNA on the gun was inconclusive. That was an absolute lie. Not only did our expert find my DNA 100% excluded and non-existent on the gun, but what's worse was the invalid and illegal tactics the prosecution chose to attain the results used to convict me. District Attorneys Kathy Tarr and Alex Bott lied to my jury with false, incorrect, and incomplete DNA results, violating my due process and my 14th Amendment rights.
You could go through the jailhouse and every single cell, the guy would tell you all the things that were wrong in his trial. But what do you think about this situation?
The whole jail innocent. Everybody innocent. No, in all actuality, here's the thing. This is my idea on it. The idea that you're saying all of this now tells a lie. The fact that it took you to get stabbed 14 times. As a black man, if I'm a rapper, I'm not obliging by public perception. And what I mean by that is the whole notion snitches get stitches or it's wrong. You know what else? You know what else snitches do? Snitches at home laying in their comfortable ass bed with them kids. But no, you sit in a goddamn jail cell because you ain't want to testify, keeping evidence that you knew could have kept you out of prison or a fight or an argument. When it's my time in the courtroom, I'm throwing everything. I'm throwing it all.
Of course, I appreciate that. And I want to do a whole segment on snitching because it's an incredibly important concept in our culture. I don't know that Tory could have gotten on the stand and gotten himself off. Like, I don't know that. I don't think he's in prison because he refused to snitch on himself. I think I mean, can we accept the notion that he may actually have done this thing? Sarah, what do you think?
I'm with Dimitri on this one. I feel like I'm telling. First of all,
yeah.
If I know that I'm innocent, I'm absolutely telling everything. And a lot of people will say that he wanted to protect a black woman and he wanted to take the rap for a black woman. And that is so admirable that he did that. And also he went to jail and got stabbed 14 times. Okay. So all I'm saying is that why shouldn't he snitch? Why do we have this culture? And if we knew that he was innocent, why is it that it took this in order for him to start talking about it? I don't understand that. Why did he take a stand?
Dr. B, the notion that he's probably innocent or might be innocent is a funny one to me because we did a whole trial. We brought in all the evidence. Everybody in the country who was able to help Tory, was invited to come and talk and give their testimony. And yet now we have even a U.S. Congresswoman who is fighting for Tory. I'm not even sure why she's in the conversation at all.
Yeah, Tory, that was going to be my thing is how do we get a politician involved in a case that had nothing to do with politics? I do want to say this, though, because I'm very sensitive to people's livelihood. OK, criminal or not, I do want to just kind of put condolences out there. Not that he passed away, but give out some type of heartfelt prayer to Tory Lanez because he almost lost his life in jail. So it's important to say, listen, you know, prayers to the family, prayers for his healing. However, to everyone's point, right is right, wrong is wrong. You don't go to court and take on time, put your life at risk if you know that you did not do the crime. Right. Time is for people who do the crime. And so I also agree with you, though, Torey. Do I think that if Tory would have stood up in court and said, hey, look, I didn't do it, here's the evidence, you know, she pulled the trigger, that it would have got him off? Absolutely not. I think that there was a no-win situation for this man. Now, we all don't know. I know one thing. They found 4 different evidence of 4 different fingerprints supposedly on the gun. So we don't know who did it at this point. But what I do know is if he didn't do it, and Megan is running this story all the way out, that is a big problem. And I believe there should be some consequences on Megan if she is telling a lie under oath about someone who did not commit a crime.
I think that the overall cultural lack of trust for Meg in this situation is tied to misogyny. And I'm not saying you're being misogynist, Dr. B. A lot of people are having the same questions you're having, but I think for some people, there's a difficulty of like believing the Black woman. Like she said she was shot. I believe her. Meg is not that.
I believe she was shot, Torey. We don't know. Listen, I believe she was shot based on court proceedings. They're saying Tory did it. Now they're saying there's 4 different DNA that's on this gun. So technically, we who don't know these people personally and weren't there at on the time of the crime have to be able to depend on justice to do what justice is supposed to do. Tell us who did this crime. But what I am saying is, if Megan was shot, Tory needs to do his time. If this story is falsified, then I believe there should be some consequence for Megan. People should not be able to go around and lying about crime, putting someone in prison, risking their life, and then just say, well, you know what? I just rode with it because I was upset. There has to be consequences on both sides.
Dimitri.
You know, it's funny to me. I want to specifically speak on the politician part of it. I think in politics, there's a room full of people sitting around saying, how can we make impact? I think when people run for presidency, they bring rappers out, they bring the most influential people out who can garner the attention of others. I think it was a room full of people who said, hey, you heard about this fingerprints thing with Tory Lanez? Maybe we could jump on that. Maybe that'll look good for us. Maybe we can find us a good little fingerprint in their culture. Let's jump on that. And I think that's exactly what's happening. But I think it may be a little too late because right after trial, it's entirely too late.
No, that's a fantastic point. That clearly the politician sees some value for her. No politician will ever do anything that is not meant to benefit them either with votes or with campaign finance cash. So it'd be like, we're always going to see that. Hold on. I want to move on to one of the big topics that we want to deal with today, because social media is such an important part of our community, of our culture. This is a central issue for us on this show and in this culture. There seems to be 3 or 4 people who control all the major social media platforms we use. So you wonder if there's sort of a weaponization or a war that we don't see, as far as, are they feeding us information, tweets, TikToks, Instagram posts that aren't in our best interest? You know what I mean? Like, Sarah, what do you think about the impact of social media on us, on Black people?
I think the impact is wildly impactful. And what I mean by that is, inside of what's happening in the world, especially us being the biggest consumers in the nation, we're constantly consuming. And what comes with that is we also have this flashy thing because we want to show our success, even if we don't have it. And so I think that social media, where we're going to places like the Shade Room or World Star for our news, the Shade Room has 45.7 million followers on Instagram, and people are going to this place for their daily news. People are looking at the rappers, the athletes, to say, I want these cars, I want this jewelry, I want the money. And so what happens is we start doing this keeping up with the Joneses thing, but we couldn't. First of all, the Joneses ain't checking for you. But second of all, when you do that, we're spending more money than we have. And I think that it keeps us in a consumerist mindset. It keeps us broke, and it keeps us in a space where we don't have an economy because we're always busy spending instead of investing.
Dimitri, I know that we are dealing with a small number of people controlling the information that's flowing through social media, Black social media. What I experience on Twitter and on TikTok is a Black community that is vibrant, that is interesting, that is nourishing, that makes me feel at home. I have had so much fun back when Twitter was a thing that I felt like I could do before the Elon days. I loved Black Twitter. I love my Black TikTok community. I get community and culture and a virtual barbecue from these things. Do you not get that from Black social media?
I do at times. And then I get an abundance of violence. I get an abundance of poverty. I get an abundance of a terrible representation of what the Black experience actually is. And the thing about it is, I think what a lot of people, how dangerous this is, if I had to explain it. If I'm on stage and there's a crowd of, I don't know how many people, put how many you want. The moment whoever controls the sound unplugs my mic, I ain't said shit. Mm-hmm. You are in direct correlation with how my message is perceived. I could have said, I have a dream speech about Martin Luther King, but now you can sit and tell them I said how powerful Black media is. Let's say when a new movie comes out, shout out to everything Ryan Coogler did with Sinners and everything. The moment Black culture jumps onto something, it elevates.
Yes.
Look at what happened with Ryan Coogler and everything they got going on. I think the thing about it is there's just a perception of Black culture that's actually missing, coming from these three people who control the narrative. And that's the problem.
I saw a lot of Sean King's videos on Instagram and Twitter. That was a huge thing for a while, Dr. B, because he, putting aside the specific conversation about him, whether or not he's Black, all that, he would show like the hardcore Black people getting traumatized, victimized by police, or like all the time. And it was hard for me to watch. And it was liberating when even like hardcore Black Lives Matter people were like, I stopped following him because I can't pay attention to right? Social media is giving us every shooting, every beating, every lynching. And it's hard when you pay attention to every news story where a Black body is destroyed. That is very, very difficult.
You know what, Torey? Love that you said that, because I call it social media Black on Black crime. And let me tell you why. Because it is the war that we don't see. Because to your point and Dimitri's point, there is a narrative that social media is creating, but it's also the narrative that we as Black people are on there creating and perpetrating. And that happens to be the narrative of a lot of crime. It happens to be the narrative of this whole, pimps and hoes, this narrative of this player, this narrative of, broken families and broken homes and baby mamas and baby daddies. There's not the positive representation that's needed on there. And what it's doing is it's silencing our positive, good Black voice, and it's teeing up the negative Black voice, which is dangerous for people who don't know how to differentiate the difference. For the people who are scrolling about 90% of their day, they're not reading books, they're not looking at YouTube videos, they're not listening to anything that is educational or that can teach them the different identities that they can identify with, that can actually be an attribute to themselves, to their family, and generational wealth. And the issue with it is we have parents who have kids, who are the main social media black on black criminals. And they're teaching their kids this, and that's called learned behavior. That's how we create generational pathologies and dysfunctional norms that do not serve us, that turn into systemic racism within each and every one of us.
I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, I have felt so educated by my black brothers and sisters, especially on TikTok, where some of the other ones, you know, you communicate, Twitter, you communicate so short, right? Like 140, you can't get a full idea out. But like in a 2 or 3 minute video, you can educate me on what's going on with black farmers in Nebraska, or the real story in South Africa, or, you know, you don't understand the way the police statistics are manipulated. And I'm like, I am constantly learning and looking at these little TED Talks where I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so much education. And this is part of why, Dimitri, why they want to shut down TikTok, partly because of the information flow. A lot of people keep saying it's really that we are talking about Palestine with such freedom that scares a lot of the people in power. So, and we've seen social media used in this way with the Arab Spring and other to be part of the revolution. I think that if we are actually going to have some sort of revolution in this country, social media is going to have to be part of it.
You know, it's amazing because it's probably the most powerful part at the moment. It's the most influential thing going on in modern generation, clearly. But the thing about it is, I think it's a difference when we look at platform per account, per what lives in these social media. So if you go into, I think the thing about it is these three people control the algorithms. So they can push whatever they want you to see at you more than you think they might. So let's say TikTok, for example. Of course, there's great space to learn, great space to conversate, great space to do this. But if you see one black bad experience, all that's set to follow is 27 more. Your For You page is going to look nothing but black this, black that. And you know, Torey, this is a question I have for you because I look up to you now. I just want to know your perspective on it. If we're looking at it as black men, black women in our culture, and we're saying, damn, this may be wrong, or damn, this may not be all we need to see. How are other people looking at it saying, do you think there is a race that's saying, look how much black death is shown on TV. Look how much we can get away with.
No, I know. I'm sure that some white people are encountering this stuff and it has an impact on them. You know, I think about this a lot because these sort of stories really live in us and resonate for us. Like, I think that like any of us could name 10 or 20 black people who were like infamously killed like by police that became like big, huge stories, right? And like we may not say the same 20 names, right? Like you may say some names that I don't say, I may say some, all that, right? White people are maybe doing like one or two, right? Like they remember Trayvon Martin because we made a big deal out of it, right? But like, do they really think about all this in the way we do? Dr. B, I don't think they do.
This is my thing, Torey. Whose problem is this? Who's creating this narrative? Who is somebody putting, because I always hear you say white people are our biggest problem. White people have caused a lot of problems and they are the nucleus to many of our problems. But in 2025, Torey, the last I checked, my hands are free, brother. And so is my mind because I chose for it to be. So the issue is we, to Dimitri's point, are allowing the folks who control the algorithm, who control the media, to make sure that they are controlling the narrative that they want to put out there about us. So what does that mean? That means that we have to understand that if we are going to put a narrative out there that's going to be controlled, let's put one out there that we can't control. Let's put the one out there that we want people to see. Let's put those narratives out there that we want leaders to be able to draw a blueprint from, and creates people and causes people to want to have think tanks about the things that you're saying you're watching, Torey. Everyone doesn't have your algorithm. Love your algorithm.
True.
I wish all of us had your algorithm, but everyone's not watching videos on education, on Black representation. So you got other folks that are doing it. I stand on the fact that we are in our own way. And until we take back our problem being outside of us, our power will stay outside of us. We have to be the ones that create things differently for us.
Dimitri.
You know, the thing about it is for me, as I sit here and I ponder on this, I said to myself, who is it? Like, who's the problem? And for me, I'm gonna give you just one off top. Everything World Star does, I disagree with. Let me tell you why. There's two ways to get on World Star: either pay for it or a negative action. You got to kill somebody. Somebody got to die. I don't know if y'all heard about this young man. He's a rapper. Recently got caught in gunfire. His name was Skilla Baby. He's part of this new generation. The YNs know him well, but it was reported that he was shot. But it wasn't reported that he was praying on Instagram Live 2 days before. That he was doing something completely out of his normal. That wasn't reported, and that garnered the exact same amount of likes, if not more. But we ain't reporting that. All we reported to negativity, and that's my problem. That's why I don't subscribe to World Star.
Here's part of the challenge with what you're saying, that the people, the oligarchs who control our social media, all of them are conservative, right? They may or may not be Trumpy. They probably are, but they're all right wing. And they quite often are shaping the algorithm so that conservative voices are privileged, right? And progressive voices are pushed down. This is part of why the whole sort of TikTok, the whole Twitter thing died for me, because Elon came in and made it very froggy, very conservative. And I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. Sarah, as a conservative, I think even you would understand that America is better if we have balanced voices, right? A balanced menu of voices, both conservative and progressive, and not just conservatives pushing their voices and pushing down the progressive voices.
I definitely agree. And I think the biggest challenge for us is the fact that so many of our people can be bought. And what I mean by that is, as long as they're shaping the narrative, they have to have us in order to push it out, because we're leading the trenches, right? It's our people that are leading the trenches of what's cool and what's popular, what's necessary, what's needed. And as long as we are being puppeted out front and taking that check, it's going to be okay. And so it's funny to me because, you know, you see these people on social media. Dimitri was talking about how it's negative or you pay for it. I'm seeing little girls twerk in front of their families because that's cute now. And that's not cute. Why are little girls doing grown woman things? Because they think that that's what's popular, because it's these artists that are put out here that are showing you that it's okay for you to wear booty shorts and have your butt cheeks out in the grocery store. I am shopping for food. I do not want to see your naked body. And that is the problem with this day and age, that a lot of people have gotten to a place where we are so desensitized. We are so desensitized that everything has become okay.
Now
and overly sexualized.
Now you see the reason why I don't go to the grocery store in Canada. But I want to show you a video based on what you just said.
This is Harvey, Connecticut. This is Harvey. Me either. This is, go ahead, help the wig up. This is that shit for real. No, I mean take the wig up.
Take the wig. Let that bitch out.
Yes. Look at him. Look at him. Coochie girl, Connecticut. I don't want to be
Dimitri, 100,000 likes, 4,000 comments, 30,000 shares.
I got you. I know what
Pride. She's so happy being herself. She's so comfortable in her body. What do you think?
It's not comfortable. That's not what it is. That's not what I'm looking at. That's not what I see. I see the power of influence. I see the power of 30,000 shares, the power of 4,000 likes. I see the power of whatever the statistics is. I see influence. The thing about it is, if this was some regular young woman who snatched that wig off in public, it'd be a fight. But you let Suki good.
But that was her friend. That was her friend did it.
She don't even know that lady. She don't even know that lady. The thing about it is, for me personally, it's disturbing. It is terrible. And the thing about it is, a lot of young women.
You found that terrible and disturbing?
Absolutely. Man, listen. First
100,000 likes, 30,000 shares. That's disturbing. It's not a fun night for the sisters out in the parking lot. Hold on, Sarah. I know Sarah's disturbed. So let you blow your gasket and flabber your gasket. Go ahead.
Oh, my flabber is gassed. Okay, I'm so upset by this. I don't get a lot of outrage. Okay. But why is this okay? Why is this something where a young woman thinks that this is okay? Well, you know what? I heard a statistic that in this day and age, because we are pushing this hookup culture, this over sexualization, this over desensitization, because we are pushing these things. Did you guys know that it has been said that women from the ages of 18 to 23 have slept with more men than women that are over the age of 53? We don't understand how images like this are creating a dynamic. So now we are stepping completely outside of ourselves. That doesn't show me confidence. That's not a woman that loves her body. That is a woman that is desperate for attention. That is a woman that wants to be accepted so bad instead of accepting herself, which goes back to the beginning of this. We need to have more self-love.
Dr. B, I see coming out of a long history of Black people struggling to love ourselves, our curls, our curves, our larger things, our Africanoid features. I mean, my God, before Sarah was born, we had a whole campaign called Black is Beautiful, where we had to teach Black people. We were talking to Black people and teach them we are beautiful, our natural hair, our natural nose, our big natural lips, like we are beautiful. And this sister is enjoying herself. She is comfortable in her body. She is clearly like happy and having fun, and like she loves herself. And like Lizzo would be like, salute to you, sister. You're getting the message. What do you think?
I think it's a deep-rooted identity crisis. I think it is an act of self-hate being externalized. I think that all of the validation that she's never received.
You think that's self-hatred?
Correct. All of the validation that this beautiful young woman has never received from daddy issues, mommy issues, and whatever else she's experienced from trauma is externalizing so that she gains that. She is working from a deficit and doesn't know her worth. Worth isn't a weight class, okay? Worth isn't a gender. Worth isn't an age. Worth is something internal that you have because you got it at a young age or you don't. And when you grow up and don't have it, you've experienced what is called an identity crisis. Majority of people within our community, Black men and women, especially women who are doing this, are experiencing that. They are placing their value on external forces. As long as I can get a like, a comment, or a validation from somebody who she deems to have value, which happens to be a celebrity, Suki, then guess what? She feels validation until that validation leaves her and she has to go seeking external validation again. That is where the psychological dysfunctional norm comes in at, Torey. And this isn't a woman who's enjoying herself. And really quick, you brought up Lizzo. Lizzo was a woman who got online and falsely claimed that she was so happy in her body. Now, there are some women who are at that plus size. Lizzo now has lost all this weight. She's still beautiful as she was when she was big and has shared that she was depressed and unhappy in that size. That means that she sold us a false narrative. So women that look like her can say, you know what? I can be this big and be this confident as well. That is a problem, Torey. And we have to live in reality, Torey. That's not okay.
The pearl clutching on this panel is epic. All three of y'all are gripping tight. I don't even know how we could diagnose an identity crisis from just a silent day. Like the sister clearly seems happy. I would have to know a lot more about her.
If you are if you're over-sexualizing yourself so that you can get some type of validation from a celebrity who is smacking you on your behind, so you can accumulate likes, comments, and shares on Instagram, and you can't see that being some type of identity crisis or a problem, then maybe you have a bigger problem you need to look into, because that is not something that somebody does out in the public because they care and they value themselves.
I think she does care about herself, and she does value herself, and because she loves herself, she's able to have this moment of self-pride, of self-joy, of self-release. She's not afraid to be seen and people judging her. She's like, what? Who is it? Suki? I can't, Dimitri, something's wrong with my glasses. What is the name of the person who posted this? I want Dimitri to say it.
Really quick,
Torey, play the video again. Let's hear what the girl says in the video. Play the video again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, let's see.
I got you. I know what I used to do hair. I used to do hair for real. I used to do hair. You ate that shit up. You ate all these hoes up.
Yes, she
all
did.
these skinny bitches.
Yes, she did.
Yes, they can't fuck with me. They can't fuck with me.
She's so proud. She's proud of herself. She loves herself.
Torey, did you hear what the woman said? The woman said, you effed it up. You effed it up. You effed up all these skinny hoes. Torey.
Yeah.
That means she's competing. Listen, you compete against people you admire. Don't start with me. Don't yab me, Torey. You compete against people you admire. So you're competing against skinny hoes. Is that what your admiration is? You can't be happy in your skin if you are trying to be something other than what you are. No.
First off, her name is Suki with the good coochie. Let me explain to you. Daniel with the good dick can never be my mentor. You understand what I'm saying? He can never teach me shit about no self-love. Yeah. Listen, it's all beautiful and great and everything, but this is the thing. I think there's a difference from being happy for a moment and being happy when you go home and lay your ass down. Yeah. Yes, she might feel validated right there in that moment. This is the highlight of this young woman's life. Why? Because Suki I ain't even gonna say it again.
No, say it again.
Because Suki with the good coochie gave her a compliment. Posting her on her social media. I don't think we know how dangerous this is. Suki got 2.7 million followers on this. That's more than me. I think that may be more than the thing about it is, man, it's a dangerous fucking narrative. And I understand she's trying to push it as self-love and push it as be beautiful, but that's not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is you act on somebody's insecurities.
Agreed. When are we going to stop supporting this trash at the end of the day? Because honestly, we are magnifying and glorifying self-hate. That's how I feel. And it's funny to me because like when you think about the fact that just because a celebrity comes or they turn on a camera, now all of a sudden, this is why social media is weaponized against us, because we don't even know who we are. We struggle to really identify ourselves and have a real form of identity. This happens every single day in so many homes.
This sister is not unlike many of our sisters, aunts, cousins, what have you, who are overweight, not their fault. That's the biology that some of us are given. They can't do anything about it. And in a culture that is constantly telling you that to have a thin nose and a thin body is beauty, and to not have those things is not beauty, to have this sister be like, I am large, I am beautiful, I believe in myself, I love myself. That is a valuable message to the other women who also can't.
What if sexualizing yourself like that ends up getting you raped? What if now, because you are the person that wants to show your booty, you want to show your whole body, you want to act like you love yourself so much that now you put yourself into a dangerous situation. You put yourself around these men that you think are going to treat you right, and they're not. And now look, who's in the wrong? Who do we blame? Where does it go from there?
Dimitri.
The thing about it is showing your body has become such a norm in this culture that we're numb to it now. The thing about it is you look at people with OnlyFans account, and all of this is social media. You look at people with OnlyFans account and their entire goodies are out on social media, right? But then the moment a man walks behind them in the club, what the fuck are you doing? How dare you? The moment a man compliments that body, you over there shaking that ass, you over there shaking, he's in the wrong.
Come on.
He's on the line. He's doing all these things. Baby, you put it out there for him to see.
These are all some of the sex workers that Cassie was with in the freak offs. Some people have talked about, you see Diddy had a type, maybe you see it. I think there's a big leap to what if she got raped, because this person is in a situation where she's with friends, she's in the parking lot, so she's probably near a club, right? So like she's in a situation where she knows who she's around, she knows who is with her, she feels comfortable, right? I imagine this sister would know, hey, I'm not safe here. We're not twerking here. We're not twerking everywhere. We're twerking here where we're comfortable. And I love the love that she has for her body. Go ahead, D.
Torey, let me ask you a question, Torey. Let me ask you a question. And real quick, Dimitri, Torey, Where would it be appropriate for your daughter to twerk? I'm just curious. Where would it be appropriate for her to twerk?
I mean, look, if my
No.
16-year-old child was in the house with people who know and respect and love her and know that her main goal is to get to college and to get to a career, and that's not the main thing, right? This is not where we're focusing on, friends and parents who love her.
So can she twerk on a car in an alley with the Suki is that appropriate for your 16-year-old daughter to twerk with her butt cheeks out? I don't care what size she is. Size doesn't matter. And Suki and these people popping her butt. Is that appropriate, Torey? I'm asking you a question.
That woman is being appropriate. She is showing love to herself.
Is that appropriate for your daughter? Is it appropriate for your daughter?
I mean, I've already answered the question.
Dimitri, he's doing avoiding behavior right now. Go on, Dimitri.
God damn it ain't appropriate for mine. And I don't even have one yet. But I think the thing about it is what you're missing, Torey, and I love the sentiment. I love how you say she may feel comfortable here, but 99% of people who are taken advantage of felt comfortable first. 99. It's always in rooms and in spaces you thought you were safe.
Yeah,
that's how you get taken advantage of. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, one of them men or friends or security guard said, you know what? Y'all see that young lady out there? She was shaking her ass outside. I'm gonna slip something in her drink. She can roll with me. And all I'm saying is, the thing about it is these days, money moves everybody. So them same friends, the same guy you hear in the background gang banging on phone them this, on phone them that same dude you hear in the background, you don't listen. You don't know what he's willing to do. The moment something becomes comfortable to him. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I gotta say, bring shame back. I think that's the problem. We have gotten soft as a generation where we allow anything. And this is the problem with allowing anything. You've got people that clearly are displaying that they don't truly love themselves. Because when you love yourself, you have standards, you have boundaries, you have exclusivity. There are things that you have when you respect yourself. Nothing about this says, I respect me. We've got to bring, and maybe that sounds crazy, bring shame back. This I would be ashamed, because now we have parameters and boundaries in which we operate for our lives. If this becomes okay, if your 16-year-old daughter were in the grocery store, because this is how people are also dressing in the grocery store, Torey. People are dressing like this, going for a walk in the park, and it's crazy. Why? Because there's no shame. Why? Because social media is weaponized to show us as Black women that we don't matter, that the only thing we're good for is sex, that it doesn't matter what we actually want, and we are able to be these sexualized beings that everybody sees today. We are the most sexualized group of people, and this is why.
I don't think there's a lack of shame in this world. I think social media is definitely a home where people shame each other and strangers will lay into each other. But I think that a lack of shame, if that does exist, allows people the freedom to be who they want to be. And you're talking about hypotheticals and the potential of if that happened, but none of that happened. This sister was in a parking lot, minding her own business with her friends, enjoying her body, having a good time. And there is something revolutionary about somebody this large being this happy in her own skin. We don't see this every day.
Torey,
people like this are taught to not believe in their own beauty.
But it's not about being large, because if we put a large elementary, junior high school, beautiful, large, big girl or boy reading or studying for a test, it's not going viral. It's not going viral. And it's nothing wrong with twerking. It's about what is your end result? What are you trying to gain from? I'm 42. I twerk all around my mini mansion. You damn right. I twerk butt naked in my house, in my mansion. Okay. I do a lot of things in my home because I want what you're saying. Freedom. Yeah, Dimitri, go on and picture it. Get the vision, baby. Get the vision, baby. Okay. I want freedom here. I'm in my safe space and I'm comfortable and I'm here with family. But I am not intentionally going outside next in the middle of the street with my butt cheeks out where you can almost see my vagina twerking, because then what would be my intention? What would I be trying to feed within myself by doing that with an audience? Those are two different feasts that you're trying to feed.
Dimitri.
I think the thing about it is what makes this dangerous and how it's being weaponized against us is the idea that upon perception, other cultures, they all believe we already related. You don't know if this is my mama, my sister, my auntie, my aunt.
We don't know.
You just automatically attach.
How often do we don't know?
And that's what I'm saying.
You know, you got friends who be like, I didn't know that she was my mom till I was 20. I didn't know that he was my cousin.
That's a crazy statement you're saying right there. But all I'm saying is the idea of it, the moment Sarah says, baby, you love the grocery store. The moment I go to the grocery store, right? And I'm in connection with another culture and they look at me and I look at them, they automatically reference this video in their mind. This is the perception they have of our culture, no matter where we are. All they're going to remember, and it's a psychology thing. You are more likely to remember the negative behaviors and connotations you've seen than you are positive.
But here's the thing, Dimitri, right? Like we had a black president for 8 years. He has a beautiful black wife. 8 years. I mean, they've been married forever, but she's a superstar in America for 8 years. She's the most admired woman in America for many years. So I'm supposed to be afraid of one video that gets a couple million likes, but like, because why? I mean, I don't conduct my life based on what will white people think. Like that to me is an incredibly reductive and destructive way to look at the world. And like, if you look at that after years of looking at Barack and Michelle and Oprah and you go, well, they're just that. Well, there was nothing that we could have done to save you, right? From hating us, from being anti-black, because we gave you amazing images of brilliant, beautiful, intelligent, black, classy black people, right? Over and over and over.
But this goes back to
the censorship of progressive voices is still an incredibly important and dangerous thing, which leads to an entire political calculus, a political mindset where we don't even understand the full issue because we're only getting one side of the story, because we're only having one side, because progressive voices are being silenced by the Elon Musks and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, right, Dimitri?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the thing about it is that's what makes it even more dangerous. If they're withholding all of the positive things, like, and I get it, the Michelle, the Baracks, and everything that went into making our black culture beautiful, everything that we see is beautiful, and only judging us off the negative shit they see online, I think that's even more of a powerful statement of why this shit can't exist, why we can't hype this shit up in our own culture. And the thing about it is, for me personally, I think the moment you begin to control what I say, you control my message. And I will not have my message deterred, but it's different for a lot of people.
Sarah, go.
Yeah, once you start censoring and suppressing what's good and you amplify what's bad, we start to create the narrative that that's all that there is. And that's really the issue. Yes, we have the Michelle Obamas and the Oprahs and for each one of those, there's 1,000 others that are doing twerking videos. And those twerking videos are what is getting pushed out in the algorithm and amplified, where they are getting 100,000 likes, 100 million likes, whatever it could possibly be. And I just feel like it's not right, because now little black girls are looking up thinking the only way for me to matter is to have attention instead of respect, is to have people look at me instead of have people value me. And that's my challenge with social media. You have to be so intentional with it, but we live in a world where social media, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your schools, that's really what's raising our children, no matter how good of a parent you are. So how do you battle social media?
I mean, I understand that Facebook, as one example, 65% fewer progressive messages, right? Like Twitter's probably far beyond that. There's so many beautiful, amazing, just black women in this country that black girls are able to look up to. I sort of reject the notion of like this video or one music video will ruin the girls when we have Michelle Obama to look up to, and Oprah, and Serena Williams.
Torey. You keep mentioning Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama has a podcast, which I was so geeked. I was geeked, right? That she has this podcast, something that a high intellectual, high functioning woman like myself could watch, to your point. I watch it. I love it. She's dropping gem after gem after gem. And guess what? she's not getting rating after rating after rating, nor is she getting comment after comment after comment, nor is she getting share after share after share. So what I'm saying is Oprah as well went and started her own network. And you know the shows that got the lowest rating? You know the shows she put on there when the network first started were all the positive, inspirational, educational shows. And guess what? She almost lost her damn network with those shows. As soon as Tyler Perry came out, which I love my TP, and started putting on more of the risque, more of the Black dramas, more of the
Black
somewhat like social media type stuff, guess what? OWN now has a network. So contrary to the point you're trying to make, folks are not looking to the Oprahs and the Obamas from the masses. Maybe you are, maybe I am, maybe Sarah, maybe Dimitri, because that is where our optics choose to see. That is what we choose to fill our space up with. But the majority of our masses who need leadership, who need guidance, who need to see something positive, they ain't looking at Michelle Obama's podcast. They're not reading Michelle Obama's book. Okay, Torey, your little limited circle might do that, but we have to look at the representation of everyone who represents being Black, and we have to account for that.
I went to Michelle Obama book event at the Barclays Center. It was sold out, and this is a national tour. This is like a 21st biggest podcast in America. So it'd be like, she's doing huge numbers, not as huge as you would like. And I think I think more of a problem in the podcasting industry rather than.
Torey, she's not even in the top 100 podcasts. She's not in the top 100 podcasts.
She is. She's 21st among podcasts. But here's the thing. That Michelle Obama,
put that up.
Oprah, and Serena, right? And there's many amazing Black women who are super popular and super famous and are on television all the time. And there's so many amazing people for them to look up to, right? For the kids to look up to. I don't think the kids are lost because one twerking video of a sister enjoying herself and having fun.
I hear you, Torey. One thing that I will say is I think that it's important for us to continue to create and innovate different ways. And shout out to my friend Isaac Hayes. He is the founder and creator of Fanbase. And it is just like a social media meets Clubhouse, meets Zoom. And he's really put that out there. But because, again, we are suppressed, we don't have that same amplified voice. Most people don't even really know about Fanbase. Although it does have hundreds of thousands of people, it's not the same as Instagram that has as many people as it has on the app, right? And so our opportunity is to continue to explore what have we created for ourselves so that we can see more positive messages, because it is true. Negativity is natural. We have to be positive on purpose and check out Fanbase. That's just one option, but there are several.
No, it's a great platform. Shout out to Isaac Hayes III. There's also Spill, where they're also trying to create a Black social media, a cookout vibe. Dimitri, coming to the end, do you think we're lost by the imagery that's coming at us from the Michelle Obamas to what's her name? The video who made this video, who posted this video? What's her name?
Suki. I can't. My grandma ain't gonna let me do it. Her name is Suki with the good coochie. Sorry, grandma. I'm sorry, grandma.
I like to do that. Go ahead. Last thought, Dimitri. What you think about all this?
I think the thing about it is you make a valid point. There is a lot of positive to look at, but positive does not negate the negative. And I think the thing about positive, what a lot of people don't understand, in today's social media society, there is a difference between insight and influence, right? It's the reason you can go to a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and he can tell you 7 Michael Jackson songs. That's influence. What it is these days we are losing influence. We might have insight in the moment. You might can sell out an arena. You might can do some tours, but what people are going to take away from it is changing. And I think we need to care about that a little more than we do.
Dr. B.
Let me say this. The top 3 Black podcasts in the world are Breakfast Club, number 1, Say Less. Drink Champs, number 2, Say Less. And $1 million worth of game, I'll even say less. All 3 of those have $100 million deals or more. Okay. Club Shay Shay is up there, but he's not the top 3. Why am I saying that? Because that means that those are the podcasts that we Black folks listen to the most. And again, Michelle Obama wasn't in that top 3, as I just stated. So we have to make sure that shows like Truth Talk is giving a representation for everyone Black, but we're also providing resources and guidance as to where the folks who are listening to these podcasts can go to other places like True Talks. And we have to make sure that we are creating a Black voice that represents the positive, but keeps it very real about the negative and the issues that we have to work on as Black people. We cannot create issues, hide our hands, and then say somebody else's problem. As long as we keep it out there, it's not in-house. And we can do more with things that are in-house than we can with things that are outside. And those are my final thoughts.
No, I think that's really important. I think that's really valuable. And I think this has been an amazing conversation. You guys are crushing it. I love you guys. I love the energy. I love the intelligence. I love the passion. I love that we are bringing a variety of Black perspectives to the people. This is very encouraging and very exciting. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are awesome. Look, this is Truth Talks. This is what it is. We're going to argue. We're going to love each other. We're going to debate. We're going to fight. We're going to hug afterwards, maybe. Like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at TruthTalks-Live. You can always watch us here. Black Star Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered, at youtube.com, at Truth Talks-Live. Support Black media. There's all sorts of links on the screen that let you support us and the wonderful people who are on the show with me and the wonderful people behind the scenes who make all this happen. We could not do this without all of them. Thank you. This is Truth Talks. We'll be here every night at